Hey, podcast world. This is Christy Powell with Women Talk Construction. Once again, we're changing the perception of non traditional roles, one conversation at a time. We're really excited today. I'm with my co host, Angela Gardner. Hi, Angela.
Hello, Christy.
We're excited to introduce Michele Daugherty to all of you who are listening. And we're just going to start off today by talking a little bit about all of us have been in the field and now have roles where we are not in the field as often as I would like to be. And I know Angela and Michele may or may not like it that they're out of the field, but I did miss it when I switched roles. I still miss it sometimes. I love getting muddy. But one of the things I wanted to share about the difference between, being in the field and being in this position is, and I was going to make a funny because I was just going to say I was muddy and now I'm not. But I think I want to be a little more serious. I needed the support from the me's in the world back then. And I think that's important to just note you are not alone. For 26 years in the field, I wish I had a me that I am today, or the Michele or Angela, and I didn't. So that's the
Aw.
difference from being in the field and being in a position that we're all in now. How about you, Angela?
So for me, you know what? I'm thinking of something that's like near and dear to my heart. I have so many, but this was a time. It's like this from memory of me and my sister driving the Todd Ridgesill landscaping dump truck because I was helping them with some hardscape projects, and it's Sonia and I, and we would drive that around town and just to get the looks of some of the people.
True. So
Two
good.
women
So
driving
good.
this like dump truck. It was priceless. And to be with my sister, I mean, I just would say to anyone, just remember moments and cherish them and always see the fun in everything. So And Michele, how about you?
Yeah. Well, I'll go with a little bit of the funny and the serious. I remember my very first day walking across the job site. And back then, we're not going to talk about how old, but back then, the hard hats didn't adjust quite the way they do today. So I had to wrap my hard hat in lamb's wool all the way through and then use my ponytail to tie basically my hard hat to my head so it wouldn't fall off and that I could look like I belonged. So to your point earlier, Christy, wow, the fact that we have podcasts like this, the fact that we have so many women now sharing their stories and supporting the women of today, because man, if we would have had this in the 90s, oh boy, where we'd be. But I will tell you the one advice I have for our women out in the field is ask questions. If you're worried about asking questions, so's the person next to you. Don't be afraid. It shows you're dedicated. It shows you're interested and that you want to do good work. So don't ever be afraid to ask questions.
Great stuff right there. So, Michele, while you're talking, let's tell the audience a little bit about what you do. I admire you for a number of reasons. And every time we have a conversation, I learn something, which I absolutely love. You need to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. Another tip. But tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I'm the president and CEO currently of Associated Builders and Contractors in Central Florida. And what I do in that role is I help our members develop people, and our members are the construction industry. So I help our members to develop those people that are in their companies from the top of the ladder to the entry-level field folks that are just coming in for day one. And we help to develop workers, making sure that they're safe, making sure that they have the tools that they can do the job so that then our members can win work and do that work safely, ethically, profitably for the betterment of the community. So at the end of the day, what I do is I just help people, Christy. I just help people that want to be successful in the construction industry.
That's awesome. Well, we can all say that, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we can.
Yes.
So I'm going to get right into it. We've got some really good questions for you today that are really going to help our audience. We feel like it's going to help our audience. As an innovative thinker and expertise in finance, human resources, and operational management, what key strategies have you implemented to drive growth and success across multiple organizations, which you have, simultaneously?
Well, the first thing that we always have to do when we want to be innovative and we want to be strategic is we have to be realistic. So, my first thing to tell everyone is be realistic. And planning is key to being strategic. So, you can't quite know if you're being realistic or not unless you lay out where the plan is. What I do with my teams to ensure that we have the collaboration that we need is we set clear goals and expectations. And I'll share a way I do that here in a moment. Next, we prioritize open communication. And the reason I put that word in front of prioritizing open communication, that word prioritize, because we all hear in any job we're doing how important communication is, but we don't always prioritize it. So in my effort as we're rolling things out and setting those clear expectations, setting those goals, is prioritizing the communication of who's communicating, how are they communicating, and what is the audience that needs to be communicated with to foster transparency and set that mutual understanding by the team, because that's critical. Then the next thing I've learned over the years is forming strategic alliances.
Right.
The power of the multiplier matters. You know, if
Yes.
I sit and try to do something by myself, I'm only going to get what I can get done. And what
Right.
I've learned over the years as an industry and in the nonprofit world, the more partners we can bring to the table, the larger voice we have, the more strategic we can be, the more collaborative we can be. So
The lighter
I
the
really,
load.
oh gosh, take the bags off. We can share. You know,
Yes.
you see it on the job sites. Can we all carry the sheetrock? Yes, we can. By ourselves? Yes, we can. Should we? Never. So it's
No.
that same concept in anything I do. So planning's key and prioritizing communication are the two biggest pieces of success that I've had in running multiple entities at the same time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just wonderful. And it's so true. And we don't talk about it enough.
Well, we've talked about it on several
Every
conversations today.
podcast.
I think we
Yeah.
need to do a live and just a regular one on
Just to talk about how to
communication.
communicate and why it's so important, for sure.
It's
Well, if I can
yeah.
give a little funny of how I even use it with my own team. All of us have a different voice cadence. I have a very commanding voice cadence. It's a blessing and a curse at times. So what I had to learn with my team, because I can come in and make anything sound like I want to be part of it just because of the way my voice sounds. So even with my own team, I use an ABC format. So my team knows, is this an A priority? A means I want to be all in. I want you to keep me posted at every step of the way. B means I want to know the beginning and I want you to bring me back in at the end. Just tell me what you're doing and then the end results. And C means I have complete confidence in you to handle it from beginning to end. So that's really what my team now uses over the years
love
is,
it.
hey, Michelle, is this an A for you or is it a B for you? So that they know their expectations as well on how engaged I need to be with them. So little tricks like that can really help as you're working with your teams.
I love it.
I
So
do
many
too.
times you get like I always send my teammate and say, "Hey, can you look at this over?" But I always say, "And can you do it by this time?" Because I mean, so many times we leave off that due date or that whatever, and then it just never gets done. But I love that, Michelle. That's awesome. Oh my gosh, your role encompasses so much of managing so many different, entities within the association. Can you share some of the insights into how you balance the diverse needs of these entities while working towards a common goal?
Yeah, we all
Well, the
know
biggest key, yeah,
pulling different organizations
Oh
together
yeah.
isn't always easy. Sorry about that. I had to throw that in
no,
there.
no, it is not. It is not. Well, and it's bringing a lot of times for my world, it's also bringing a lot of volunteers that are
Oh
already
yeah.
carrying the weight of the
A lot
world
of
of
weight.
their jobs, their families, their other civic involvements. So coming in, what I've kind of put together over the years is 4 hows and 4 whys. And the 4 whys are always the beginning whenever I'm trying to approach a new complex situation, is making sure that everybody at the table knows the why. We've heard this, it's getting old. We're like, can't we come up with a new way? But it's still what works.
Still the why.
By explaining the why, there's 4 things that I've seen that come out of the why. You get an increased confidence from everybody. If everybody understands the end result of why, then they can cast their vision and along with your vision and make sure the visions align. And that's why digging deep into the why of why are we doing this task? What does it do to the community? How is it going to impact our business? How's it going to help us get this job that's been scheduled back on track? Because we're behind schedule. Re-engaging with the team to cast that vision, making sure your vision and the vision of those around you match, really can speed things up, which increases the productivity. If everyone understands the why behind something, if something goes sideways, then you have a team of problem solvers, and it doesn't have to just be you. So that's an important piece. And it drives that thinking and innovation from people. Because if they understand how to get to here, they may come up with something at the beginning,
all on their own,
middle, or near the end, saying, "Hey, wait! If our why is this, project, we had it not too long ago. We were doing a nonprofit project, and once we were all asked to do our individual pieces. Once somebody came in the room and said, "Our end result is X. We're trying to produce this to help this underrepresented community." You would not believe the explosion of conversations that started once people knew the end. So that's whatever job it is. If it's a in-field project, if we're estimating or planning on something, make sure everyone knows the end result so that you can get there. It increases everything.
It does. So when you're doing that, how do you maintain high levels of integrity and energy throughout the process? Because sometimes in the nitty-gritty of the day and the hard things that people are off doing in their own little worlds, right? It may be hard to handle that, keep that energy up, and to keep the integrity levels high.
Yeah. Was it Lewis Carroll that says, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, right? Isn't that the same?
I'm totally that girl.
Right. So, I mean, it can be a success either way, but it's really important to, as a leader, you're also a cheerleader. And that's what you have to be able to, once you know the why, you have to be able to then envision the plan around that why. I'm a big fan, for those that don't know, and you can YouTube EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system is a great one. There's a lot of ones out there that help you to be clear about what you want to achieve. Once you set the goal, you have all the other rocks that have to come in. You have the pillars. There's different acronyms we can use, but you have to identify those. And you have to, set them up into like a scorecard. I'm a big fan of scorecards and tracking, so that you can be honest about where things are. And that's why, when you use a system that says, what's our goal for the next 3 months? Again, having the end of the year goal, but can't wait till the end to find out where you need to introduce the passions. Sometimes when you see a pillar maybe not getting where it needs to, that's where you have to slide in, re-engage, see what are those stopgaps that are holding people hostage from success. So I'm a big fan of setting up, once you know the why and the end goal, then beginning with the end in mind and working backwards, set a plan, communicate and over-communicate who's responsible for what and when they're responsible for it. Because you can give people, hey, this is your piece. But if you don't set the deadline expectations, like Angela mentioned, right?
Yeah.
I need this by here. If we don't set the expectation. And one of the things that I've also helped to share with folks is the causality. If you don't hit that goal, how does if you've got team members and they've got a goal, They have to know how their goal date that's been set impacts others. Because
Right.
it's one thing to miss a deadline if it only impacts you, right?
Right.
But when you are aware of all of the other folks that it impacts, it increases commitment. I've seen, and
Mm-hmm.
it increases loyalty to the project, whatever that project might be.
And it probably increases the priority level in their
Oh,
thought
absolutely.
process, right?
Well, that's
Yes.
the other thing too, is knowing, like, that's the other thing with my team that I had to do was tell them what was priority first.
Mm-hmm. I do
I
that
mean,
every day.
it's so
Yeah.
complicated leadership. So
It is.
Michelle,
Well, and
and you,
sometimes you have to do that daily too, right? Like
yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
emergencies pop in during the day, and then
exactly.
you've got the next morning, you're like, okay, we got to prioritize this list today.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah, and
yeah,
yeah,
that's
keep going.
huge.
Sorry.
I was going to say, with that, you also have to, like, with your team, you want to teach them how to be structured. You want to teach them how to stay in deadlines. But to your guys' points, you also have to teach them a little flexibility
Right.
and creativity.
Yes.
Be
The
comfortable
world's
with,
not going to come to an end if something goes wrong, right?
yeah.
I think that's so important as a leader is what's the worst can happen?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We miss a deadline. Well, it's not the end of the world. Nobody's going to die from that. But how do we recover? That's the real solution, right?
Right.
That's the real mindset that we should have is, yeah, we want to hit that goal, but if we don't, we have to be prepared to pivot and make things happen.
Well, that kind of leads into the next question that I have for Michelle is, do you have some examples of some challenges that you faced and how you've overcome them, to drive a positive result within your team or organization? Because it sounds like y'all have a very
Mhm.
well-oiled machine there.
Machine. Yeah. Can you come to my house?
Well, I'll give you a couple. The first example I'll give you is from being not in a leadership position. I
Mhm.
still remember back, when I was in the field
Hmm.
and not necessarily having the communication channels. And I think that's why it's so, I'm passionate about it. And being in the field and seeing something and knowing, do I say something? Do I not say something? Do I have the support of my company if I see a safety risk? We were trying to fix, I worked in conveyors and motors and maintenances, and we were trying to figure out a system to be safer with our conveyor systems. Large, big boulders went in here, microfine dust came out here, and we'd have to play in the middle to repair the systems and do things. And so there were different safety risks. And I look back as a leader today to the young girl back then, and the advice I would give her is speak up, share your thoughts.
Mm.
The thoughts I was having back then were, wow, I could speed up this process probably by 5 minutes, a transition down every time. But I'm new. I'm
Right. But
Yeah.
they probably don't want to hear from me. I look back now and go to her and want to shake her, being like,
uh-oh.
Did we lose her? Yep. There she's
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
You want go back
I'm
to
here.
the
I think I
go
lost you
back
guys
to
there
the
for
I
a
want
second.
to shake her. I think we're good
Go
up to
for it.
there.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to look back and shake that girl. Can you hear me okay?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
Looks like we're having technical difficulties.
Christi, Angela,
Yes.
can you hear
Be
me okay?
patient. Yes, we can now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we left
Okay.
off at shaking that young girl.
So, yeah. Yeah. So I just want to shake that young me because there was so much money and productivity lost because I thought you have to be at a company a certain amount of time before you can share ideas. And there's a right format to sharing ideas. I think that's very
Right.
important as well when you're giving that advice, that, go with that humble, right attitude to your managers and say, I have an idea. I just thought I'd share with you. Change doesn't happen overnight, so don't get discouraged if you don't see the suggestion you made make a big difference overnight. But you as a leader, and every one of us are leaders, you as a leader have an obligation to share if you've got that great idea. So even with my own internal staff, each of my different departments, I go to each of the department heads, and you're the CEOs of your departments. I may be the CEO of the company, but you're the CEOs of your departments. I tell my chairs of my volunteer committees, you're in charge. I'm here to serve you. So I think
Right.
that's one of the things that when I face those challenges, another challenge you have that I face a lot is time, right?
Yes.
That's everybody's facing that.
Time management.
Time management and people management. We're
Mhm.
trying to bring more and more individuals into our different organizations and companies, and making sure that we recognize and we're honest about our time management and our people management. I face that all the time. I want to boil the ocean, right? And
Yes.
sometimes I just got to be, cognizant that I might only be boiling the cup of tea that I'm going to be drinking that day. So those are my challenges.
I love it.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to talk just a moment about, we love all the insight that you're giving our listeners today, by
Yeah.
the way. Unbelievable. You're such a great leader, and it's really, really cool to be able to watch you lead and see all
Thank you.
the inspiration and the impact that you're making in our industry. The Associated Builders and Contractors, I just want to hit on this for a minute, and then I've got another question for you. The merit shop philosophy is so important to me. It's why I'm part of ABC. I think it literally eliminates diversity, equity, inclusion conversations, because if you get a job based on merit, it doesn't matter what you look like, right? Doesn't matter about anything, because your own merit and the work that you've done and the education that you've put yourself through, it just fits, right? So there's no reason to have conversations surrounding things that people are tired of speaking about, unfortunately. The Merit Shop helps members develop their people, win work, and deliver projects, which I love that too. How do you align your leadership vision and the core values of the organization? I mean, this is kind of a redundant question because I feel like you've already answered it, but we want to know how you do that to foster growth and achievement within our industry. So something just quick and easy, because we got a really good question for you last.
Okay. Well, one of the things I'll look at just even from this year. So ABC Central Florida turned 50 this last year.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty exciting.
Congratulations.
And we don't often get excited about the 50, but hey, we're very excited over here at Central Florida.
That's awesome.
And what we did in our strategic planning, like I told you, I love to plan. So in our strategic planning, we really had to sit back this year. And I encourage any company that's been around for a while to take that time, if you've been successful, to ask yourself, are you significant? And so this year, that is what we've been focusing on, is taking from success to significance. And I'm with ABC now since, the early 2000s, because of the developed people and the helping our members to win work. But the two biggest pieces for me are developing people and bettering the communities in which we work and live. And I'm telling you, when you can show that people are growing and the community's thriving, everyone wins. And so, that's where, for the Merit Shop, again, you said it best, Christy, I can't say it any better. The Merit Shop gave me the opportunity to break concrete and then to break a glass ceiling. And that's why I believe in the Merit Shop so much.
Awesome.
I like that response. So you want to ask the last question? I get to ask the most important question. This one has important beside it. So I know. Drum roll. We've seen, obviously, our audience is seeing all of your passion. We see your passion, supporting women in the field of construction. Can you tell us what drives that passion for you, Michele?
Well, I think Christi and Angela, you both have the same passion, and I thank you so much for doing Women Talk Construction. I remember when I first met Christi, I just wanted to hug her to death because it's so important that we do this. What drives it is the girl that was in the field. She's who's driving it. When I look at the 90s and we were at 2.7%, 2.5% in the field, and we're still only around 3% in the field,
Yes.
4%, depending on which ones you look at. We got work to do, ladies.
Yes, we do.
Because I looked to my left and I would look to my right, and there was no one like me out there. But the opportunities that construction gave me, it took me out of a low income situation. It took me into an environment that let me provide for my family. It allowed me to go get a college degree. All that came from construction. So I believe the more we give, the more we always get back in return.
Yeah.
And so, even this last weekend, so proud of our chapter here in Greater Orlando, the NAWIC. We did Block Kids this weekend. And so people are always like, oh, Michele, I love you volunteering. I get more out of it. I'm like,
I know.
these kids, I'm telling you, we were able to, over at the Orange County Public Schools, gave us a huge room. We had companies come in, 100 kids coming and competing. And I had this one little girl, she was 6, and I got to interview her. And she was telling me what careers she wanted in construction. And I'm like, she's 6. She knew some that I'm like,
I love it.
I didn't even know that was there. I had a 6th grader who built a wrecking ball and went through. And so I said, explain how this would be done. And she shared that there's architects and engineers and project managers. And she knew all of this at 6th grade. So it let me know maybe we're starting to make a dent.
Make it different.
And when I asked her, what would you want to be if you were in construction? She said, I want to be an operator. I was so excited.
I know a lot of companies that are happy to
I
hear
know.
that.
I kept her information. I'm like, we're not that far away. So that's the passion is there's no end to opportunity for women in the industry. So my heart is there, but I'm also going to put my CEO hat on for a minute. We have a 500,000 worker shortage in construction. 500,000.
Yeah.
And women aren't there. Yet women in all encompassing represent 50% of the workforce.
Right.
So it's incumbent on all of us that have been in the industry, that the industry has given so much to us, to share that pathway for all those other women out there that are missing the opportunity. Building women. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It is awesome. And it's so rewarding. Like you get to go to bed at night, like with a smile on your face, and you get to wake up with a smile on your face, knowing that you are making that 500,000 workforce shortage a little bit better each day, right? That's kind of how I have to look at it. And making that young Christi or the young Michele or the young Angela feel more comfortable being here. And that is what we are all about. And thank you again, Michele. Before we go, though, I want to say one more time, the reason that we're doing what we're doing is because we want to fill these gaps of workforce. We want women to feel comfortable. We want you to feel comfortable speaking up and asking for mentorship and sponsorship. But more than anything, we want you to feel like you belong. And if our podcast is helping you feel like you belong, please give us a shout out. Say hello. Say thank you. Give us a like on wherever you're listening to your podcast, and get on our Women Talk Construction website. Listen to all the amazing women that we've had on, and men who are supporting women. Yes. And it'll make a big difference in your life. And even if you're in the field like I was, if you hear these stories in your ears, it's going to make you feel confident in your job. It's going to make you feel like you belong here. And it's not going to make you feel like you're alone on an island like a lot of us did when we were in the 90s and the 80s. So, Michele, tell everybody how to get a hold of you. And thank you again for reaching out to all the people that are listening today and just being such a great inspiration, inspiring other people to be in our industry.
Thank you, Christi and Angela. Easy to meet. I have LinkedIn. I recommend all women. If you don't have your LinkedIn account, get your LinkedIn account, and you can find me on Michele Daugherty there. You can always find me at abccentralflorida.org or .com. Either works. And we are out here, right here in Central Florida. And if you're not in Central Florida and you need connection anywhere else in the country, give us a call or go to abc.org, and we will get you connected with careers.
Thank you again, Michele, for pouring into our listeners. We really appreciate you. Have a great day.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, ladies. We'll talk soon.